You got a question or a comment? I don't want to hold everybody up with us trying to look for you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
What's
sir.
up, man?
So I'm a general contractor in Miami. I came here about 3 years ago with big dreams. My handle is James, my contractor. And my thing is, I've been trying to take it to the next level for the last 3 years since I came here. And it doesn't matter how big I grow my top line, my bottom line isn't growing, even though the margins are there.
So what's the question? How do you do it?
I feel like, like I'm stuck and I'm trying to bring in some new team members, but I'm scared to do it because I'm scared to give up the control that I have right now over my company. How do you deal with something like that?
Well, listen, I have the same problem often, right? You have a lot of fixed costs, right? And the only way to, run a business is increase sales or reduce costs, right? But then there's sometimes you're investing 20% or 30% in new acquisitions. So it could be leakage. It could be leakage means theft. I'm just going over the points. I don't know if it's your issues or not. It could be leakage. It could be that you think the margins are great, but you're not adding up all the numbers. It's like if I brought in a product and we would say the product needs to cost 25% of the end cost, right? Mm-hmm. And then I bring it in, but then I don't take in consideration advertising or leakage or damaged goods or whatever the case is. Then it's a phantom margin that you have because you believe that you're having a lot of numbers there, but there's something missing. It could be high turnover with people. So I'm not really certain how you're looking at your numbers. You know what I mean?
What you say makes a lot of sense to me. And I actually wanted to ask you, a lot of other general contractors told me that on the way up, going to the 10, 15 million mark, you don't really make money. You even make less money than what you did in your first years because you're investing everything in building the team. And it costs so much money to get to that level. And I just wanted to ask, do you think it's possible that it's actually like that? Do you have to literally give away all of your profit just to build it bigger? Because I was making way more money when I was doing 2 or 3 million a year.
It all depends on what your bigger picture is going to be. If you want to become a global or national brand and you need to build infrastructure and buy things to invest and learn digital marketing and or buy large bulk so you can get better prices when plywood now is going up and everything is going up.
Yeah, plywood up is insane right now.
Yeah, so it all depends on what it is. But if you want to take money off the table every single year and keep a healthy, small business that you can focus on your clients and you take that money and use other things, make other acquisitions or put it in the market. So there's no one way to operate a business and operate the way that you have an end goal in life, right? So that's going to be you. Do you think that you can, do you see yourself in charge of, building skyscrapers? That's totally up to you. I'm at the point in my life where I don't want 200, 300, 400 employees and I don't have them, right? I look at Robert, who has that many and is still growing because he's one of the top cybercrime experts in the world. And I go, good for you. That is amazing, but I just don't want to do that anymore, right? So I'd rather take less money, but have a peace of mind. So again, a job, your company's like your baby or it's like your wife. It all depends on what you're trying to get out of it, and the dedication that you want to put in. And not saying there is any wrong way. You just got to take those personal insights yourself,
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I don't feel like I got the answer. I don't really know what the answer is right now, but I do know that I want to be a lot bigger than I am because there's a lot of stuff that I want to do and places I want to go. But thanks for taking the time to talk to me anyway.
Yeah, no, listen, you may not have the answer right now. You may write down, you know what, why don't you write down your obituary right now? Write down your obituary 10 years from now and write down your obituary 30 years from now.
What's the obituary? I'm sorry, I just speak Hebrew. I don't know what that means.
When you're dead, what they write about you in the paper.
So I write that about myself, how I want it to look.
How would you want it to look this year? How do you want it to look 10 years from now? And how would you want it to look 30 years from now or 20 years from now? Then reflect on that.
I actually have it written down. I just don't know how to get there. It's I'm 28 years old. I feel it's so much bigger than who I am right now. I came here 3 years ago with nothing. You know what I mean? Okay. So all right. But I'll give you an example. How big is it? Is it out of sight right now from where you are? Yeah, it's totally out of sight. It's like a multi-generational type thing.
Excellent. Now, what are you willing to risk to get it in sight? Are you, well, do you have a family, that you have a wife, kids?
No, I have nothing that's holding me down. That's why I'm also taking
Excellent.
these risks.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, then you know, listen, you then now know already you don't have to risk those things right now, right? You don't have to risk the future of a wife and kids. You have a very high goal. So even if you stop short, you're going to be hopefully okay. So those are excellent things right now. So listen, man, listen, between the ages of 20 to 29 or even to 30, I slept 4 hours a night. I worked in Red Lobster and I did the FUBU in the daytime or nighttime. You know, sacrifice is what they say is sacrifice is giving up something of lesser value for something of a greater value. So that's it, man. You already have your answer. You know what I mean? And then when you decide, if you decide you want to slow down, then you will alter that, you know, that obituary to be something a little different.
That's exactly what I feel right now. Like I'm giving up everything. Like I don't sleep. I'm basically like all day, 24 hours. But it sometimes gets hard because you start to believe that maybe if you're pushing this hard for such a long time, maybe it'll never come. But I just continued because I look at people like you and it inspires me. I say, I can do that as well. Like I came from nothing. I'm a little guy from Israel. I showed up here 3 years ago and suddenly a lot of people know me in the industry that I'm in.
Well, fine. You know what? Excellent. What about that is even more people know you today for jumping on my IG and giving everybody a little bit of hope that, of what you're doing, man. All right, brother. So I'm going to see you later, man. Have a happy holiday. Be safe out there in Miami because, you know, listen, I live down there as well. And, you know, my wife will not let me go down there. Mommy won't let me come out the house because if I go down there, it's going to be so damn warm that I'm not going to be able to restrain myself. I'm going to be out there hanging out. And so my mommy won't let me come down there and play. All right, man. Have a good time.
You be safe too. Thanks for the motivation. You have a great weekend.
You got it.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. I like that guy. I like that guy. Gotta come up with another song. Put your damn name in so I can shout you. Yenny. Yenny. What, you speak 8 languages, Yenny? Now you know why I'm not down there in Miami. Let me see. I like that song. Let me see. What other song am I going to play? Put your name in there so I can shout you out. You know what? This is really kind of smooth. Man, I missed the clubs. All right, we got music mode in the house. Yenny, I see you. What's happening? Who else is on here for me to talk to right now? Give me a lighthearted conversation. You know what I'm going to do my Instagram live tomorrow at noon, and also do it on Tuesdays at noon, and I bring somebody in on you know, Tuesday at noon. 2tim1_5, I think that's what it is. Hola. Danny from Miami's in the house. Everybody follow Danny from Miami. Birdland, what's happening? Joyce, you know what I mean? All right, let me see who I got. I'm gonna bring you in here, Yenny.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much. What's happening with you?
Your background is amazing, I have to tell you.
I'm doing a fireside chat out at the dock, you know?
I love it. I mean, it's very different for me just seeing that, you know?
Oh, very good. So how you doing? How many languages do you know now?
Well, let's see. French, Spanish, English, Mandarin, it's coming along pretty well. Italian, and I'm kind of focused on the Mandarin because it's so much harder, you know?
Yeah.
It's so
it is.
languages. Yeah.
It is. And what are you doing? Are you still working at our favorite place?
No, our favorite place is closed, as you know.
Live is closed?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not missing.
See, you're not missing anything.
Missing anything.
You're not missing anything, so don't worry. You can come back home. Someone's saying speak French. Oh, je peux parler en français comme tu veux.
Well, maybe you should be doing some virtual stuff. Like maybe you should be talking to people who, because everybody now is trying to search for talent all around the world and doing negotiations around the world without traveling. Maybe you should be doing some virtual translating and/or just being on the phone quietly. You know what I'm saying? While people are talking, because you know, like when people are talking right now, and they're talking in French, but they kind of whisper into their people something. I don't know. Yeah, you got to try to figure out something.
You telling me to spy?
Four people, absolutely.
That's actually a good idea. Okay, no, I have 2 questions for you. First of all, have you been keeping up with your Monopoly?
I have. You know what? I'm starting to go on to. I just started going on PlayStation Monopoly because they're telling me that I can get much better competition on Twitch than I can on my normal phone Monopoly.
Better than your friends?
Yeah, my friends. I mean, I just, well, no, listen, half the time they win, but yeah. But at the board, when you're physically on the board,
yeah,
then I win because you can control way more negotiation on the game itself. On the electronic one, it's not as easy or as fun, but I still
in person,
win a
you
good
can
amount of
focus
time.
face. You're so good at that too.
I am. I try.
You are. My next question is, what are your thoughts on traveling right now? Because, I mean, I'm here. I've been locked down since March. Like, I've been a good girl. I have not gone outside. I haven't seen another person since March. Wow.
Wow.
So, because I'm taking care of my mom, so I don't even want to risk anything.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on travel?
I agree. That's why I'm not coming to Miami. And even though, some of the times I travel private, which I don't necessarily like, 'cause I'm a little bit of a tree hugger and burning all that fuel just for a small amount of people, as well as it doesn't make any sense paying all that kind of money. But I don't think people should be traveling unless they really need to. Now, they say the plane is one of the safest places because the air comes up, pulls down and pulls up and is refreshed every 3 minutes, but it's the airport and all those other things. But if you can, it all depends. I just don't think it's safe right now because we know there's a vaccine in sight. So I never want my little girl to bury me or my wife and say my parents just couldn't stay at home.
God forbid. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so you're saying stay my ass inside. Got it.
I think you should, especially in Florida. I know a massive amount of all our friends from Florida who, and a lot of them have it, really a lot of. But however, I don't know why in this instance a lot of them didn't pass. I guess because most of them are young and super healthy, super worked out people because they're Floridians.
Miami people, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear, and I just love seeing this tree in your background. You called yourself a tree hugger. I'm telling you, you're killing it right now. You got me in the holiday spirit.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, because you know what? I got a little tree forest, and that little bad boy is about, must be about 3.5 years old because a tree grows 1 foot every year. So, so we got a bunch of them around here, and I don't feel like selling them. I got a tree farm, and I don't want to sell them. So I made because I'm an only child.
Good for you. You be greedy. You keep all your trees. Okay.
All right. I'll see you next time, and I hope to see you when we get in Miami and everybody can go out.
Yes, soon. I can't wait. Okay, stay safe, Steve.
All right, be safe. Take care, Mom.
Bye.
Where's my buddy Ray? I saw Ray on here. Where's Ray at? Where's Ray at? Ray, send me a request. I think people can learn from you. My partner in crime. Where's Ray at? There you go. Walls made Ray Anthony. Where is he at? I just saw you on there. Tanner, Ray?
What's up, D?
Don't say anything that our wives are not supposed to know. I noticed Heather was on here somewhere, my wife.
I just saw her live with my wife. So
she's at the house over there, but I saw her on here, so don't say anything about, about anything.
How's it going?
It's going, Ray. Listen, I'm a pretty sharp financial dude. I got a little financial intelligence. However, when you and I were watching the markets, everybody needs to know that Ray is a stock expert. A lot of things you hear me talking about, I may pick up for Ray or not, but when I think we were in Miami together when the market was dropping. It was dropping down to 17 or something like that, and I said it was going to go down to 13 or 14. And then that was the day of the world's largest margin call. And when we got up to around 25, I shorted it saying it's going to go back down to 22. This thing is flying now. It's at 30 and change. I lost a load of money. So I want people to know, even though the only time I find comfort is, Mark Cuban sold Facebook when he just bought a load of it and it just opened up.
Yeah.
So Mark lost.
Yeah.
I shorted the market. I lost on that stuff, right?
Kevin O'Leary hated Tesla.
Kevin O'Leary
but now he loves it.
Right. Buffett said he lost on Amazon. He should have gotten on it in the beginning.
Yep.
All right. So I don't want people.
What else did Warren Buffett say? There was something that he said recently that he never wanted to touch. Well, he said he didn't like Bitcoin. Warren
Didn't like
Buffett.
Bitcoin, and you and I when I sold my Bitcoin and then I was like, oh, it's down to 2,000, I'm gonna pick it back up, and I totally forgot. And now the thing is at 20,000, I was gonna buy it at 2,000. So I
Yep.
don't, I'm saying all that because I don't think people understand that no matter what level you're at, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna need people like you around to be the voice of reason, and or to say, all right, Daymond, give me all your shorts. I'm going to make the pain. I don't know if I'm going to make it go away, but I'm going to make it easier.
Yeah.
Give people some advice here about want to get into the market, what they should do, shouldn't do, how should they do it, any kind of advice you have, because, I love your advice.
I mean, obviously that's all I've been doing all week. Like the last couple of months have been the busiest number of months I've had in probably the last decade, because everybody thinks they know what's going on. And I was just saying this to people the last few days. It was, when the market was crashing, I knew that we would have to buy at some point. We would have to buy a number of things at some point, but you had to be careful, because we had information coming from every which way. We had doctors giving us information. We had the government giving us information. We had the news giving us information. So it was just so much information to digest, and you just have to pick and choose which ones you wanted to listen to. So what does somebody like me do? Like, there are a lot of people out there who were buying options. There were people that were just going in on oil. They were going in on airlines. And I always have to tell people, I have to be a little bit more careful about how I invest, because I'm investing for people, right? And that, if it was just investing for myself, that's one thing. But when you're investing for people, you have to be very, very careful. You have to diversify. You have to just pick and choose your battles. So I remember when everything was crashing at 20,000, 22,000, you and I were discussing, and I said, D, I think there's absolutely a possibility the market could go lower again if we have a second wave. But at the same time, we have to hedge. We have to hedge against that. We have to say, okay, it could go lower, but what if it goes higher? I have to cover both sides of it, right? So my cover for my clients on it could go back lower was, number one, I was picking the biggest and best names. Okay, I was picking the Amazon. I was picking the Square. I was picking the Tesla. I was picking, just like you and I discussed 3 years ago when we were out in Greece. I said, I'm picking the names. When I invest, I pick the names that if they disappeared today, it would absolutely affect my life. And it made absolute sense that the market's crashing. We're all quarantined. We're all locked down. You had to be invested in Amazon. You had to be invested in Walmart, because we couldn't go out. We couldn't do our groceries. We couldn't get products in. Who was going to do that for us? It was going to be Amazon. The same thing with Zoom. Like Zoom, I didn't invest in Zoom, but Zoom went from what, 100 to almost $600 because people were meeting at home, right? So here we are now, fast forward to end of 2019. We've seen what the best winners were. And the biggest winners this year for myself was Moderna, which, funny enough, we were out in Disney right before this COVID thing happened, and I was like, "There's this little company, Moderna. They have some kind of vaccine," right, and it ended up being the best one. So that thing went from 17; it's at 150 right now, right? And then Tesla was the other one, and it was because this guy, Elon Musk, even with the COVID lockdown, just like you and I, like, I know entrepreneurs. I know all my closest friends who are entrepreneurs. I said in the beginning of this COVID, the reason we're going to be able to get out of this is because we know how to pivot. We absolutely know how to get through the tough times and figure out what we're going to add on and come out of this thing better than we were when we went into it. And Elon Musk, when all of this was happening, you saw him. He was yelling at the government. He was yelling at California. He was talking about, I need to hit my numbers no matter what. It doesn't matter that everything's shut down. I got to hit my numbers. And look, he hit his numbers. Tesla went from $400 to the equivalent of $3,000 right now.
Right.
You know, it's $600. And I think he continues to do that. If he can do it through the tough times, he's going to continue to do that. I'm making my call right now. Today is what, the 7th of December. I think in 3 years' time, Tesla is over $1,500, even though it's at $600 right now.
And a lot of people don't understand the values of stocks. You can take $1,000 now, and in 20 years, that stock, that 1,000, depending on what you bet, could be millions. You know,
or a billion. I was actually just talking about this with Patricia. I said, do you know what $10,000 in 2001 is worth today? In Apple is worth today. If you put $10,000 into Apple in 2001 and never sold, it's worth $1 billion. Wow,
that's crazy. So I want people to know this stuff, because a lot of people are so busy sitting there thinking, I need to be an entrepreneur. I need to find a startup. I need to invest in an angel investment. No, you can invest in billionaires who will never know your name, and you don't need to know theirs, because they came up with Moderna or Tesla or Shopify or various other things. But let me ask you something, Ray. Why the market is doing better than it's ever done before? We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Now, they say the market is forward thinking, but the market started spiking only shortly after we went through our phase 1 of COVID. How can the market even know phase 2 was coming or not coming? Like, do you think it's still going to keep going up?
I think that it could continue to go higher, because number one, we're going to be out of this pandemic soon. You know, you and I, we never left home. We stayed safe this whole time, right? And I know a lot of people who stayed safe this whole time. And what we've been waiting for is coming soon. There's now 6 different companies that have come out with very successful vaccines. Those vaccines will be distributed one way or the other. So once that happens, it might take a month, it might take 2 months. But the most important thing is the highest, the people with the highest probability of being sick are going to be treated first. That's going to be your older people, the people with underlying conditions, and you've got your healthcare workers. They're going to be taken care of first. So vaccines, the whole point of the vaccine is to reach herd immunity, right? So when you have 350 million people in the United States, it's kind of hard to hit herd immunity. We've had COVID for 9 months and 13 million people have gotten sick. So you've got to hit all 350 million. You've got to hit 330 million people to hit herd immunity. It's not going to happen. A lot of people are going to die if that was the case. So the way to get that herd immunity is to make the herd smaller. And the way to make the herd smaller is to give people the vaccine. And a lot of that herd is now immune to this thing. So I know there's a lot of anti-vaxxers out there who are like, oh, I won't touch a vaccine, especially one that was found in 1 year. Well, guess what? Not everybody has to take this thing. Just, it's got to be that group, you know, the older people, underlying conditions, and the healthcare workers who are most susceptible. If they're taken care of, then guess what? The other group, which is not as susceptible, you know, that's going to make that herd small. It's going to make it a lot easier to take care of this pandemic. And, you know, I'm not a doctor, but I study, I research so much on Moderna and Pfizer and all these other biotechs that just all of this thing comes through and seeps into me. But my point is, we're going to get out of this soon. And then we have what I think will be a bipartisan government. And that's very important.
I don't know if we're going to have a bipartisan government, unfortunately, because I'm not playing any politics or not. One person is saying that the thing was rigged, and then the ones and the Republicans are up in Georgia for a runoff, and a lot of people are doubting that they should even vote as a Republican. So the House may go to Democrats, and whatever the case is. So I'm totally confused in that area as well, because if it goes Democrats, then I know the market's going to die or going to take a hit, and if it stays Republican and then, you know, split, then I think the market would hold. But that's a whole nother issue. You know, let's hope.
I really hope it just becomes, you know, I really hope it's just Biden takes this, and then we've got Republicans in the Senate, and then you know, as we've seen, we got to end these standoffs that they're having against each other. These guys got to work together. This country was based on bipartisans. It was based on checks and balances, and you know, it's not a popularity contest. It's got to be a country based on checks and balances for the good of the people, and that's what I really hope to achieve. So I just want Biden to come into the office. I want the Senate to just figure this out, and just, you know, if it's Republican, great. The divisiveness of what's happening in the government's just got to end. We got to focus on.
But that's the truth, right? Because we need another helicopter dump, right, for all those people who are out of work right now, all those businesses that are out of work right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, because the reality is, why are we building tanks and giving money to other governments and all that kind of crap when we have the money here? Isn't that the reason why all of us have paid our taxes all our lives for an instance like this? Not like we're gonna need it for 5 years, but people are dying right now and their businesses are closed.
Exactly.
And I said it before, listen, then April we got to pay our taxes again. Why just, all right, if you're not going to give us any money,
then we shouldn't pay.
We shouldn't pay. And you know what? Stop the interest on the taxes that we couldn't pay.
Yeah, and the penalties. Yeah.
And the penalties. You know what I mean? At least stop that. If you ain't going to give it to us, then stop it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Stop taking.
Exactly.
Anyway.
The good thing is what has pushed the market higher. And I said this, you know, we were hanging out right there by that fire right there. And I was like, you know, what's pushing this market higher is the Fed has shown the greatest resolve I've seen. I think they've gone much further than they did back in 2008. And they said they will support this country. They will support the businesses. They will give unlimited buying power to help this country out. And they've never done that before. They didn't even have to do it back in 2008. And that's what helped push this market higher. And that's why at that point I was like, wait, if they're saying you know, if anybody watches Game of Thrones, the Fed was acting like they were acting like the whatever that gigantic bank that was funding all the different countries was. That's what the Fed was doing for us. That's what the Fed was saying they were going to do for the rest of the countries. They were like, we're not going to let anybody crash. Remember how back in 2008, there was Lehman Brothers crashed, but then the government said, we won't let any other banks crash, AIG, any banks. We're going to help everybody out. And that's when the market started taking off. The same thing happened here in this instance, but on a much bigger scale. They were like, even if we have to shut down the country for 6 months, we're going to show that we're going to buy as much of this market as we can. We're going to buy and guarantee that the banks have money to lend. And that's why the market's pushed higher. Now, once we get out of the pandemic, because everyone's eager to work, even people who aren't working, even people who are still locked down at home, I know everybody's eager to work. You've been working day in and day out. You've been my inspiration for working day in and day out, because even the pandemic, you were like, you're going to be okay, Ray. You just got to put your head down at work. Like, you were an inspiration. But even though you've been working every day, I know once we're done with this, now we're going to take this to the next level. We're going to be on the road just meeting anyone and everyone to like.
It's gonna be like Prince's 1999 party once we get back. I want people to know that, because everybody thinks that the new normal is gonna be this. It ain't gonna be this. People are gonna be so dying to see each other. Yeah, you know, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people are dying to see each other now. There are people partying like it's 1999 right now, and just because the vaccine was announced, they haven't even gotten it yet. I'm like, these guys are crazy. But once we get that shot in us, I'm gonna be out there. You're gonna be out there. We're gonna be out there, just meeting everyone. Just loving life, but working, you know. This is where we're just gonna be like, damn, I really miss having business meetings with people, you know. I really miss networking with people. So what do I see in the future? I do think that the market continues to go higher, but it's not that easy money where everybody was just back in March, April, May, everybody joined the market, right? Everybody was talking about, yo, you can make so much money buying stock right now. Everybody was buying anything they wanted. Hands over their eyes. They were just grabbing at things and they were making money. This is where the hard money is going to be made. This is where real research comes into play. So if you're not doing research, don't just, you know, everybody wants to buy today's mover. Okay. So I was talking about this with my partners the other day. Everybody wants to buy today's mover. Oh, what's moving today? Oh, this thing's up 20%. Let me buy that. Oh, this one's up 30%. Let me buy that. No. You can't do that anymore because the market's about to change now, right? We're at an all-time high. That means the market has a better chance of going down than going up. What I look for is tomorrow's mover, right? I look, everybody's focused on today's mover. I'm looking for tomorrow's mover. So we're doing the research. We're figuring out what is hitting the numbers, what is delivering on their promise, but they haven't moved yet. And that's a pure example of what Elon Musk did with Tesla. He was delivering on the numbers, even though analysts and shorts were saying he wouldn't be able to do things. And every time he hit on the numbers, somebody else was doubting him. But this time, even with the pandemic, he hit on every number. And that's why you saw his stock went from 400 to 3,000. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for today's movers. I'm looking for tomorrow's movers, because once it moves, then all the people who are looking for today's movers, they're going to push my stock higher.
Got it. All right, brother. Well, I'll holler at you later, man, for a Monopoly game.
For sure.
And, thanks for coming on, man.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
You got it.
Later.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.